Hey there, YouTube. Just a bloke with a beer here. It's about midnight here in Salt Lake City. But I'm here smoking my clay tavern pipe by James Townsend and Son. You might have heard of James Townsend. They have like a living history museum out east somewhere. I'm not sure where. But they focus on everything 18th century America. And I usually buy my redware pie dishes from them. But I recently found out a couple months ago that they sell clay pipes typical of the 18th century. And I actually own 4 clay pipes by them. And they've been one of my best smokers, and the pipes I have in my collection has really converted me to clay. And I've been enjoying them quite a bit. And I'm smoking some Goat Herder, the tight knit piper. Turned me on to this blend. It's sold at Tinderbox here in Utah, just in the Midvale area, I believe, right across from the Fashion Place Mall there. But hold on, let me get this light. I just wanted to give a thanks to Spire.Geek, Dale Piper, and Boardwalk Piper out of New Jersey for giving me a shout out. I appreciate it a lot. I actually got a lot of subscribers to my channel since you guys mentioned me, and I'm very, very grateful. As you guys know, this past week was the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad. And I know I've talked a lot about the railroad this past week, but there was something I just couldn't get off my mind. I have Chinese ancestry through my grandmother on my dad's side. Her great-grandfather, or her grandfather, I'm not sure which one, was a Chinese laborer to Samoa brought by the Germans. And Samoa was from 1900 to 1920, I believe, was a German colony. So the Germans brought Chinese laborers to Samoa. But we were always told that my great-great-grandfather, his name was Ah Chee. That's what he went by, at least. All his friends called him that, but his actual name was Ho Chi. And learning about the Chinese laborers on the railroad and what records we have, especially from the payroll by the Central Pacific Railroad, a lot of the Chinese laborers, they started their name off in the record with Ah. And then they wrote down whatever name after that, according to what they heard. So the railroad records would say like Ah Chong or Ah Charles or Ah John. Or sometimes they'll call Chinese laborers John Chinaman or Jake Chinaman. It all depended on who the payroll master at the time was. But the thing is that they put Ah on a lot of the Chinese names, mainly because that's what it sounded like to the payroll master. And it just shows that there's a lot of Chinese laborers that the Central Pacific had that we don't know their real names. Those were just names that the payroll master heard and wrote them down. So knowing that, and seeing all the Chinese laborers that moved and settled in Samoa, a lot of them was like Ah Mu, or Ah Folk, or Ah Chee, like my great-great-grandfather. And it made me wonder if those are connected. If the Chinese laborers in Samoa were also railroadmen in the United States. If after they had finished completing the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 and other railroad projects or mining projects in the United States, did they go back to China and were picked up by the German colonial administration in Samoa to work the plantations there. Um, Truly, I don't really know, but it's been on my mind um, a lot this weekend, and I figured the only way I'm really going to know for sure is I have to trace those Chinese labor companies that supplied workers to the Central Pacific Railroad, and see if those same companies also supplied workers for the German administration in Samoa, or the British administrations in other colonies. If so, I might be able to determine my great great grandfather's life before he came to Samoa. But yeah, knowing that the railroad uh, named a lot of the Chinese, starting their names with Ah, and knowing only the railroad had done that, it makes me wonder if those Chinese laborers, or a lot of the Chinese laborers that we know of that had their names start with that, if they kept that name with them when they went back to China, and that's just what they used working for the labor company. And if those were the same laborers that worked in the railroad or in the mining industry here in the United States, if they're the same laborers that also worked in Samoa and settled in Samoa. It's pretty interesting. I learned a lot this past week, but also it got me thinking about the history of the country where I'm from in Samoa and my own family history. Uh, but it's crazy to think, and it certainly is possible that that did happen. But I don't know. I have to do some more digging. But that's just what's been on my mind lately. Anyways, you guys know I like history, and I am a novice historian. That's just something I do by hobby. Um, Learning about the past really is fulfilling for me. It's really interesting, and also knowing where you come from is also really important to me. Anyways, hope you guys are having a good week so far. Sorry, I'm a little bit raggedy. It's the end of my day. Gotta get washed up and stuff before I head to bed. But you guys take care and be safe out there. Cheers.